Welcome back, everybody. It's time for the weekend review, and we are coming off an insane week last week. The trade plans were incredible, nailed every move, every turn. Substack subscribers got paid, and I am so excited to present this week to you guys. We are coming off of a massive squeeze that we talked about our weekly and daily level at 67.61 and 67.65. They played it on Thursday evening in Globex and then squeezed 200 points on Friday. I warned everyone after this trade played in the overnight session that we should experience a squeeze, and anything over really our 69.03, but we had a higher level of 69.20 that they were really just going to push, and that is exactly what happened. So our 69.03 level played for a nice little smack. They never came back any lower than our weekly at 68.83 that we played prior, and they just popped nice the rest of the day, just squeezing shorts to death. So as we get into the market analysis now, let's go ahead and check out SPX first. I'm going to pull VIX over, and then we're going to get into ES because, we use it all to put the picture together. So let's get right into it. So looking at VIX right now, we discussed that our big $20 pivot was our big push and really was everything for determining if we were going to get more downside in the ES or if we were going to get some relief. And obviously, as you can see, we had 2 days of pushing up towards our big weekly at 20.43 until ultimately they came back down, and on Friday they broke beneath our $20 handle. Well, it was pretty obvious what happened Friday. We squeezed super hard, so giving that our $20 handle was our major pivot was spot on. Now, what are we going to do? Well, we're sitting at some serious support here at 1744, and to be quite honest, this looks like VIX is giving the ES quite a bit of relief. Now, we will see where we open at on Monday, but really we're still going to use this $20 handle as our significant pivot for above below. And our next major area now that we need to keep track of is the 1744 monthly. This was very important for us back in January, and then we were able to stay above this, but now that we are back, we're going to monitor this for above or below. But I will say this, the indices certainly has a nice little tailwind due to the VIX being suppressed. However, we are not out of the woods yet. Let's go ahead and take a look at SPX and kind of get with the flow here. So check this out. This was super important. I just noticed this just now. Actually, and I didn't notice it before, so I'm glad that we're taking a look at this. This is our current leg to the all-time high. Let my pen fire up here and I'll draw it out for you guys. What is very interesting is we had that overnight sweep into our massive daily and weekly area on ES, but here is our move to the all-time high. As you can see, we actually swept this leg, but the daily never closed below, signaling significant strength, which obviously led to a massive rally on Friday. Now, what are we going to do? Well, this is a great question because technically speaking, we never lost the leg. So they could continue to move all the way back up into our higher untested areas up here at 69.66 through 69.85. This is a possibility. We have a massive weekly here at 69.66 and a couple untested dailies here. And as you can see, we have a nice little shoulder here. So this is going to be our big point of contention. But right now, we have not lost support on the daily time frame, and things are still looking very much to the upside. I'm going to go ahead and just tab over to the 4-hour time frame and show you some support areas that I'm looking at in case of a pullback. We went ahead and played the daily at 69.45 on Friday. That kind of gave us our little end of the day smackaroo here. And if we pull back on VIX, on SPX, these are the levels that we're looking to hold. 68.82 through 68.58. This is a 4-hour, a daily, and a weekly. And you guys know if I had to pick the one or the two that really count, I'm going to go for the lower, which is the 70 weekly and the 70 daily and the 58 weekly for a pullback and a potential pop. However, as you can see right here, I have here, this is bad below 68.45. This level is already tested, and I would not look for this to hold. Would simply look for progression below it. However, we do have this daily down here at 67.98.40 on SPX. My only concern is this level has not gained yet. So we could get either a retest or a small liquidity pop for a push down, but I would watch and be concerned underneath 68.45. The real thing we want to see is a pullback into our support here and a push higher, or just simply a push above 69.45 into our big resistance area, as you can see here. And it's pretty obvious, I think, once I point it out to you, okay? So now this kind of lines up for us on SPX. Let's go ahead and take a look at ES, because that is what we're truly trading here. And now that we have a greater picture of what that looks like. So I'm gonna go ahead and just pull up my daily time frame and show you guys what's cooking here. So this is the massive area that was played prior, and I've talked about this in the trade plans multiple times. We had this beautiful daily, weekly down here. This is actually one of my signature setups that I teach in my course, the gained and never tested. We swept below this, and I'll just show you on the 4 hour because it's a little confusing or deceiving on the daily RTH daily time frame. We not only swept this leg, but this was a liquidity sweep here. We played this area, and then we have just rocketed right back up to our 69.64 pivot spot that we actually played from one of the massive shorts last week that we called in the Discord room. And so we are right back at this major significant pivot. But what is above us? Well, we have two big spots that we have to keep track of, guys. We have 69.77.75 weekly. And as you can see right here, I even have watch. Is it untested? I don't know. I can't decide if this level is untested or not, which means I just need to monitor it for a reaction. The play here is to see if 69.77 plays and gets back above 69, gets below 69.64.50 pivot, and we will just crumble back down, okay? The other thing is up higher, I do have this daily up here at 7,004.50 and the weekly at 7,004 that we've talked about so many times. This daily is still technically untested. And guys, this is our shoulder in here somewhere, the same look that we saw on SPX, and more so I would be defaulting to the higher simply because 7,004 is both the weekly and the untested daily leg down currently. And we did lose on ES. We actually closed below this leg to the all-time high, but we never closed below the previous leg. So it's like we're stuck in this massive area. It's no surprise that we squeezed, and we really have to be, kind of patient and let this show us. Now, if we pull back, I want to show you, I only have one high time frame place to buy on ES, and that is the 69.12.75, right? The 69.12.75 is an untested daily, so if we pull back and hold this area, and we could potentially catch a bid and push back up into these areas. So we either going to get a pull back into here and push up, or we break out just completely above the 69.64, and then we watch these spots. Now, obviously above the 7,004, we make new all-time highs, but I do anticipate these areas, or really this area, getting a reaction. So once again, the same weeklies apply that we've talked about for many moons now. We've got the big momentum shift under 69.03. This is a big one, guys. And then our real bad below weekly at 68.80. You can see it played perfectly right here. And obviously the 69.03 is held up many times as well. For those of you guys who've traded with me for some time, these levels are not new. We've talked about these really since December. And so with that being said, they are still important. And so if we come down and play the 12, we're looking for a pop, but anything below 03 really shifts the momentum in the favor of the bulls once again. And underneath 80, this thing is in trouble. Now, I have another daily at 68.39, but it is tested. As you can see, I'll leave it gray. The only other daily I have is 68.15.75, and I would be concerned to play that simply because, guys, right now the daily has still not gained support. This is just a massive squeeze and a liquidity pop basically from a sweep. And yes, we're coming off some serious high time frame stuff. Yes, they can continue to move up, but right now, based on my process, we still have not gained on the daily. And I'm really getting kind of mixed signals from both SPX and ES, which is a little concerning. But defaulting to the VIX to look for clarity, we know that the VIX is still looking pretty bearish right now, falling underneath our $20 handle. We're going to watch what happens to the 1744 pivot, and that is going to determine a lot for our continued direction on the ES next week. So we're really going to put all these things together to figure out what's happening here. Now, the thing is these levels underneath have already been tested. If we end up falling and getting below the 69.12 and ultimately the 68.80, let's let's call it. And let's not forget our big monthly over here at 57 that played quite a few times, especially on Thursday, that propped us up. You know, this momentum shifts hard underneath these levels, guys. And so if we push down here, all this stuff is tested. Now, can they replay this? They absolutely can. And the only reason I say that is because this was played in Globex. I generally like to see RTH levels played in RTH, especially when they're high time frame like this. So don't be surprised if we come back down here and get another pop from this. In my opinion, it is not freshly untested. I would be looking for this to play, but again, I'm not as excited about it as I was, the first time they played it. Obviously, the first time they played it, as you guys know, this thing paid serious dividends, and this was a level that we called out for sure in our trade plans. You're more than welcome to go through and take a look at the history and see what's cracking, because this was an awesome level. This weekly took us directly up to our major pivot here. Just an incredible move on Friday, an incredible squeeze as they just really squeezed everyone's balls. And so now they have a serious moment here where they either make it or break it around the 69.12 to 69.03 level, or we continue to come back down and look for more buyers. Now just remember, if they move above our pivot here, we do have this weekly at 69.77 and 7,004. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the 4-hour time frame. Let's get a little bit more granular look, as I do have a couple 4-hour levels that I'm monitoring. So as you'll see here, and I'm just going to go ahead, if I hide it, they're gone. I'll show you just here you go. Here's the 2 4-hour levels that I'm watching if we pull back. Right now, the 68.80 makes a lot of sense for everybody, but this is a very tested level. This is the same level as our weekly, and so we're going to use this as a pivot. I actually have a untested 4-hour at 68.67. If price was to come down here and get back above 80, I would look for some continuation follow through. But guys, below 80, this gets a little shifty. And our last level of support, really on the 4-hour time frame, is 68.2475. But again, be cautious buying under here. At this point, we are back underneath all the major support areas, and momentum has shifted certainly in the favor of the bears at this point. But we have not gained on the daily time frame, which in my opinion still leads to somewhat bearish tendency. Now, putting this back up, this area right here is amazing. Okay, 7,450. I love this. Untested daily, untested weekly. We have a beautiful shoulder on this side over here, and this is where the support lost when we just absolutely cascaded. I believe it was on a Monday or a Tuesday of last week. And this level is absolutely 100% untested, and I would look for a reaction here, no question about it. In fact, if they push up here and we get back below the 64, this thing is a duster. Okay, so keep that in mind. That is an absolute duster. If we get up here and we close back beneath 64 on either, I would just even say the 4-hour, but especially the daily, it's over with. So that is what I'm going to leave you with, these guys. So I will pull the 1-hour over just because why not? Oh, one of the things I wanted to show you too, I didn't talk about the weekly TPO because we are just inside of a massive balance area right now, as we're still sitting in a multi-week balance. We have the previous weekly value area high here. We have our previous weekly point of control at 17, which is really close to our daily at 69.12. And then our previous weekly value area low is obviously well underneath our major Momo shift points at 68.80 and 68.57. So if we get down in here, this thing has got some serious issues, guys. Really just look for anything under 80 to be potentially in trouble, especially if this 4-hour at 67 doesn't hold us up. This might be a good place to just get short and hold it for a minute. So again, this to me is the primary short up here, but just be careful. Once we get above 69.64, this is our major momentum shift. As you can see here, we played this many times. This even brought us down for a major move here. So getting above this would put momentum in the favor of the bulls. We would just look for these areas to play and then get back above here, and that would be our trigger to just lay into it. So with that being said, let me pull over the 1-hour real quick and give you guys a little bit more granular picture, even more so. So here you go. And there you go. So, as you can see, we have this massive area here. It even played beautifully right here. And this just has wonderful confluence for me. This 69.77, again, I'm still undebated about this. That's why I have watch on it. Really, if this plays, just look for it to get underneath 64, and that would be your cue, okay? But otherwise, we could definitely push into the 7,004, which I am almost certain should get a reaction, especially after we've had this massive push. Now, if this doesn't absolutely send us down cascading underneath 64, this market will more than likely make a new all-time high. However, if they can't get that job done, we are coming down, and I would be very careful to buy anything right now as far as support-wise. Once this plays, we could just immediately flush. But my first and only really true buy spot is the 69.12 daily. If we were to pull into this right now, I would look for continuation up. And that is what I got for you guys. It doesn't get much better than that. Doesn't get much more clear than that. That is it. We've called every spot, left, right, up and down, almost the highs and the lows every single day and everything in between. I hope this helps you out considerably. We've talked about VIX, we talked about SPX, and really the nitty-gritties on ES. And just keep in mind, we are still in negative gamma territory. The dealers have not shifted negative gamma from the all-time highs for approximately 2 weeks. This means they are still looking for more potential downside, at least for now. But as you can see, when we're in negative gamma regime, we have extreme volatility. We have monster moves. I mean, our moves have been, 80 points, even 200 points, on Friday. So expect volatility as long as we stay in this negative gamma regime. It is great for traders. Enjoy this. This doesn't last, guys. This doesn't last. We get negative volatility regimes, I would probably say 30% of the year. This is when careers are made and money is made. So stick to the plan, play the levels, follow the guidance, and be patient, and together we'll conquer the markets. I will see you guys on Monday. Cheers.